or have another print disability which makes reading, holding a book, or turning a page difficult or impossible. The content is copyrighted by the respective publishers. For more information, please visit us on the web at nfradioreading.org.
Welcome to Around Our Area, a weekly look at community newspapers from around Western New York. Your reader for this hour is Will Evans. And we'll begin with a look at the Amherst Bee, and our first article has the headline, Comprehensive Rehab Receives Statement of Deficiencies from NYSDOH. Following complaints from families, including a leaky roof and receptacles containing standing water, the New York State Department of Health investigated the claims at Comprehensive Rehab and Nursing Center at Williamsville, 147 Reese Street, and issued a statement of deficiencies. This week, I joined Senator Jeremy Zellner and Williamsville Mayor Christine Hunt for a constructive meeting with the New York State Department of Health, NYSDOH, to discuss the ongoing concerns at Comprehensive Rehab of Williamsville, said Assemblymember Karen McMahon in a press release. McMahon represents the 146th District, which encompasses the village of Williamsville. Following our discussion, the NYSDOH issued a statement of deficiencies to the facility outlining several very concerning issues that were identified during an on-site investigation conducted recently. The noted deficiencies include leaks in the roof that have negatively impacted the health and safety of residents and are deeply troubling. The facility is now required to develop a remediation plan that must be submitted to and approved by the NYSDOH, said McMahon. According to documents from the NYSDOH, during an on-site investigation on February 5th, a blue tarp was covering part of the roof, covering Units 1 and 2 of the facility. The report also stated that items were blocking exits of the two units, including two 5-gallon buckets near a resident's room, each with drain hoses that originated at a ceiling assembly, one 1-gallon trash receptacle near the same room, and a 5-gallon bucket placed in the center of the corridor near another resident's room, which contained approximately 2 inches of standing water, where an approximate 1/8 of an inch deep puddle of water was pooled, approximately 3 inches wide, around the bucket. Some residents of Comprehensive Rehab and Nursing Center interviewed by the NYSDOH said water had been leaking into the buckets in the hallway since they moved in about a month ago, which would have been sometime in January. According to the report, the maintenance director said tarps were installed from the ceiling in the 100-unit corridor about a month ago, and that tarps and buckets near residents' rooms in the 500-unit were installed about 2 months ago. Various unnamed staff mentioned in the report corroborated the information. An administrator at the facility told NYSDOH that they were aware of the roof leaks of Units 1, 2, 5, and 6, and that the maintenance director had been implementing ways to try to control the leaks. The report said a contractor was selected in October 2025 to replace the roof above the 100 and 200-unit corridors, and the roof replacement should have taken 3 weeks to complete. The administrator said the project was delayed until December 2025 by a permit process. After starting the project in December, contractors paused their work due to changes in the weather, cold temperatures, wind, and snow. According to the report, the roof contractor was on site on February 2nd, removed snow from the roof of Units 1 and 2, and put a tarp over the roof. The administrator stated in December that the hallways in Units 5 and 6 had a couple of leaks, and the facility was in the process of obtaining quotes for roof patching in those areas. During an interview by NYSDOH, an employee said staff first saw buckets collecting water in the 100-unit corridor around September of 2025. Other items from the report included means of egress were not continuously maintained free of all obstructions of impediments in the event of fire or other emergency. Based on observations, interviews, and record review completed during a survey, the facility did not provide a safe, functional, sanitary, and comfortable environment for residents, staff, and the public, said NYSDOH in the report. NYSDOH corroborated the facility's claims that the project to replace the roof began and was interrupted from being completed during and due to inclement seasonal weather. I am grateful to the families who brought these serious conditions to our attention, said McMahon. Their advocacy enabled my office to promptly notify the NYSDOH and request an immediate investigation and clear path toward resolution. After the department's thorough review, steps are now being taken to ensure the facility addresses these deficiencies. Senator Zellner, Mayor Hunt, and I have requested regular updates from the NYSDOH and will continue to monitor the situation closely to ensure meaningful progress in the days and weeks ahead. According to Mayor Christine Hunt, the village is working together on this important matter affecting one of our most vulnerable groups of residents. We had a meeting with several statewide representatives from the DOH last week and are collaborating to make sure the structural issues are addressed. The patient issues are a matter for the Attorney General's office, and they are also involved, although working independent of the village. Our next article is headlined, Residents Concerned with License Plate Readers, Town Prohibiting Gambling at Amherst Senior Center. Various members from the public expressed their concerns Monday night during the Amherst Town Board meeting regarding the use of automated license plate recognition, or ALPR, technology and a resolution that prohibits gambling at the Amherst Senior Center. The meeting agenda included Resolution 2026-193, Axon Enterprise, Inc., CRS number 6026, Outpost Camera Systems Installation, authorizing the supervisor to adopt and execute an agreement between the Town of Amherst Police and Axon Enterprise, Inc. The first year of service after installation would be at no cost to the town. Axon Outpost is a fixed, intelligent camera system designed for infrastructure-mounted surveillance, combining automatic license plate recognition, ALPR, vehicle attribute recognition, and live streaming. It is designed for flexible deployment on existing poles, buildings, or other fixed structures. Approximately 10 people who spoke during public expression cited ALPRP concerns related to surveillance of citizens, hacking, and possible abuse of data. Alex Hedges of North Forest Road said he is not opposed to using the technology to find stolen cars or with hit-and-run accidents, but the town does not seem to have any public policy in place to limit its potential for abuse. He said the Transparency in Policing page on the town's website links no policy that limits its use. The town code has no restrictions on ALRP use, and maybe it could be amended before any new contracts are signed to provide more permanent protections to residents' privacy. Do not sign this contract until there are strong safeguards in place to prevent harm from ALRP use, Hedges told the board. Some members of the Amherst Senior Center also spoke during public expression about the town board approving a resolution regarding a code of conduct at the center at its February 2nd meeting that prohibited gambling. Carmen Vela, who told the board he is the president of the Pinochle Club, said the group has 40 members and added that they don't make a profit from what they charge to play cards. He said the money is returned in the form of pizza parties, coffee, and donuts, and winners receive a small nominal prize. We never felt that it was gambling, he said. David Ziegler, a senior center member, told the board that he was concerned that seniors never had input on the board's decision to prohibit gambling at the center. He added that some members play cards 3 times a week, and they are between the ages of 55 and 95. He told the board that the seniors at the senior center could be their parents. They deserve respect, and they deserve input into these decisions. He added that there are exceptions to the rules against gambling, citing charitable purposes and socialization among seniors. You're ignoring the seniors of Amherst here, and we'd like to ask the board to reopen this issue and have an opportunity for the seniors to be heard, he said. Ziegler added that seniors could receive $8 or $10 if they win at cards. If you were to go to bingo and there was no prize, who would go to bingo? He asked the board. It's a slippery slope once you start doing that. That's not a path that the town of Amherst is looking to go down, no matter if it's $1, $5, or $13. We have a strict policy in terms of the gambling or not gambling in our Amherst Senior Center, said Town of Amherst Supervisor Sean Lavin. He added that the town is lucky to have one of the most highly attended senior centers in Western New York, with 12,000 members, and there is a waiting list for those seniors who would like to become members. I do apologize to the residents of the senior center who are looking to gamble, but that is something that this town board cannot allow. The next town board meeting is at 7 p.m. Monday, March the 9th. Leaving Amherst now, we'll move on to Clarence and the Clarence Bee in our first article. American Legion Post 838 offers $1,000 scholarships to Clarence High School seniors. Clarence High School seniors attending a college program are invited to apply for the annual scholarship awarded by American Legion Post 838, which recognizes outstanding essays on topics related to Americanism. The scholarship has been awarded for many years and is designed to encourage students to research, analyze, and express their ideas on current issues affecting American society and civic life. Last year's scholarship recipient addressed the role of social media in American politics, exploring whether restrictions should apply to state or federal election campaigns. This year, Post 838 has selected artificial intelligence and its impact on American democracy as the essay topic. Students are asked to consider, in your opinion, how does AI influence American democracy, and what can or should be done about that influence? Jim Schultz, a member of Post 838, said the essay topics are chosen based on timely issues that are relevant to students and the broader public. We're the American Legion Post, so we strive to promote Americanism, Schultz said. AI seems to be a hot topic, so I thought it would count for an interesting essay. Most of the issues we present as an essay topic require the applicants to do some research and critical thinking on political issues. Schultz mentioned that the Legion's first mission is to take care of veterans, but its second mission is to keep people informed. I think encouraging kids to examine their thoughts on civics is a step in the right direction, he said. Applicants must submit an original essay of 450 to 500 words, along with a completed scholarship application. The essays are read blindly by 5 Post 838 members who do not know the identities of the authors. Schultz said the blind readings process ensures fairness and objectivity. The scholarship is open to all eligible Clarence High School seniors, and selection is made without regard to gender, race, or religious preference. Applications are available through the high school office, and students are encouraged to carefully follow submission instructions. Completed applications and essays must be postmarked by Monday, March 23rd, or delivered to the Clarence High School office by Wednesday, March 25th. Schultz said the scholarship is funded through the Post nonprofit grants and member dues. Whatever we get, we try to send out, he said. He added that the Post takes pride in supporting educational opportunities in the community and promoting civic engagement among young people. The American Legion Post 838 Scholarship is one of several programs offered by the Post to encourage community involvement, civic awareness, and education. Students interested in applying or learning more about the scholarship are encouraged to contact Jim Schultz at 716-812-0405. That's 716-812-0405. Or visit the Clarence High School office. Our next article from the Clarence Bee is written by Christopher Green, 6th District Erie County legislator. Eastern Hills Mall will keep commercial corridor vibrant. While many malls across the region, and across the country for that matter, have been mired down with government inaction to enter the next phase of use, we have managed to put political egos in check and work across the political spectrum to move infrastructure impediments forward for the betterment of the community. The Eastern Hills Mall will not turn into a vast gray field for the next generation, but rather reinvent itself into a thriving village. It will keep our commercial corridor vibrant and ensure our most valuable real estate continues to generate tax revenue for the town of Clarence, and not shift that burden to our residential properties. This will likely be the largest private sector investment in Western New York history, and could not have been accomplished without everyone on the local, county, and state levels working together as a cohesive team. Moving this project forward was of paramount importance during my 11 years in public office. I leave with the knowledge that the final pieces are in place to make this a reality. Just like the Eastern Hills Mall, the time has come for me to enter the next phase of my life, so I will not be seeking re-election in November. I am extremely thankful to all the elected officials, support staff, and constituents who have helped me over the years. I will always cherish the times I have spent as an elected representative, and I am looking forward to spending more time with my family. I particularly want to thank Clarence Supervisor Pat Casilio. I barely knew the man when we were chosen to run together in 2015. Since then, I don't know a more selfless person in office. He is the epitome of a public servant and constantly puts the needs of the town of Clarence above those of his own. He is a model of how a representative democracy should function, and I am grateful for his friendship and leadership. I am excited to see that Ed Rath has decided to run for the seat I will be vacating. Ed has the dedication, knowledge, and energy to serve and thrive as our next Erie County legislator for the 6th District. He has always done an outstanding job supporting the towns of Amherst, Clarence, and Newstead, and I look forward to supporting his candidacy. I will continue as 6th District legislator until the end of 2026. As always, if you have a county-related issue, please reach out to my office at 716-858-8676. That's 716-858-8676. Or by email at christopher.green@erie.gov. That's christopher.green@erie.gov. You can also keep up to date on county issues by going to my Legislator Chris Green Facebook page. Thank you for the honor of serving you. Turning now to the Clarence B. What's Going On column, Spruce Meadow Farm will host a Soups On fundraiser from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. on Saturday, March 14th at 10333 Keller Road. The event will feature an all-you-can-eat soups, chili, goulash, mac and cheese, barbecue beans, meatballs, and drinks. Children 4 and under eat free. Pony rides are available. Proceeds benefit Phoenix Rising Equine Rescue. Call 716-741-2346. That's 716-741-2346, or visit sprucemeadowfarm.com for more information. Clarence Contemporary Club will meet at 9:45 a.m. on Tuesday, March 17th. Monthly meeting at Sean Patrick's Restaurant, 3480 Millersport Highway. Program, Blooms to Support Pollinators, presented by Susan Kuzneski, followed by a $30 per person luncheon. Reservations required by Thursday, March the 5th. Contact Barbara Brand at babwny@yahoo.com. And Research Day at the Grosvenor Room, Central Library, with the Polish Genealogical Society of New York State will be held from 1 to 5 p.m. Saturday, March 21st at 1 Lafayette Square, Buffalo. Registration is required as seating is limited, and it can be done online at https:// pgsnys.online/research-the-becl-with-the-becl-with-the-becl-with-the-becl. You are listening to Around Our Area on the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service. The time is 20 minutes after the hour. And we'll move over to Cheektowaga now in the Cheektowaga Bee. And our first article has the headline, Grand Opening of Bateman Veterans Memorial Gardens set for Memorial Day. The grand opening of the Bateman Veterans Memorial Gardens at Nob Hill Park, Cleveland Drive, will be held on Memorial Day, Monday, May 25th, 2026. The octagon-shaped memorial features a marble monument honoring Neil Bateman, a Cheektowaga resident and Vietnam War hero who was posthumously awarded the Silver Star for extraordinary bravery. On May 15, 1967, near the Doc Fo U.S. base, Private First Class Bateman charged in a heavy enemy fire as his platoon's point man. He advanced to within 40 meters of entrenched Vietnamese positions, drawing enemy fire and allowing his fellow soldiers to retreat with the wounded. Bateman held his ground, suppressing the enemy until he was killed by machine gun fire, exemplifying the courage recognized by his Silver Star Award. A replica of the Silver Star will be placed at the base of the monument. The walls of the memorial will also feature engraved names of other Cheektowaga residents who lost their lives in Vietnam. The project was initiated by Jerry Kowalski, American Legion Erie County Commander, and former Francis J. Donovan Post 1626 Commander, alongside Glenn Bateman, Neil's brother, just before the COVID-19 pandemic began in 2020. I've been working on it ever since, Kowalski said. Glenn Bateman, who now lives in Florida, will return to Buffalo for the grand opening. The project's groundbreaking ceremony, which included members of the Cheektowaga Police Department, local fire departments, and town residents, featured a 30-motorcycle motorcade and a luncheon at the Donovan Post. Kowalski, a Vietnam-era veteran, said the Memorial Day event is expected to be similar in size or even larger than the groundbreaking. I think it's extremely important to educate the American public that the military defends this country and the Constitution of the United States, Kowalski said. Kowalski noted that Nob Hill Park is a meaningful location for the garden. He and the Bateman brothers used to play baseball and go sledding at the park's diamonds in the old quarry, and the Bateman family once lived on nearby Applewood Road. The monument is currently about 90% complete, Kowalski said. Remaining work includes final engravings and placing the Silver Star at the monument's base. Pavers are also being sold for $100 each, allowing families of veterans to have their loved ones' names displayed along the memorial's sidewalks. Our next article is written by Patrick Kludzinski, 143rd District, New York State Assembly Representative. A plan to LOWER, lower energy costs and the strain on our delivery system. As I write this month's article, another winter storm has forced the governor to declare a winter-related state of emergency and the state legislature to cancel our legislative session. This time, it's our downstate neighbors battling snowstorms, blizzard conditions, and emergency closures. I, for one, am glad that they had the support of a diverse energy portfolio to keep them warm and safe. I want the same safety and security for my constituents and my family. That is why I am supporting the Lights On with Energy Relief, LOWER, plan, a series of initiatives that will lower energy costs for ratepayers, lower the stress that compromises the reliability of our electric grid, and support an all-of-the-above energy policy that serves our residents, ensures choice, and protects our environment. The pain of these increased utility bills is immediate, and the relief we provide should be immediate as well. I support creating the Energy Price Rebate Check Program that would provide approximately $2 billion in relief. Eligibility for these one-time relief checks would be based on income levels and tax filing status, and would provide meaningful relief to those most severely impacted by increases in household energy costs. Each ratepayer's bill includes energy surcharges approved by the Public Service Commission to support clean energy initiatives. There is currently $2.4 billion of your money unspent in this Clean Energy Fund. I support Assembly Bill 8876 that would require any surplus and uncommitted funds remaining in this account at the end of the fiscal year to be refunded to ratepayers in the form of a credit on their utility bill. The contradictions in New York's current energy policy must also be addressed. 50% of our in-state electricity generation comes from fossil fuels, primarily natural gas. It begs the question, why are we forcing closure of these facilities? We must reinvest in these plants that will increase generation while creating much needed construction jobs. We can increase national gas expansion, development, and production while reducing the cost of transporting gas and limiting emissions. In addition to these shorter-term, immediate relief proposals, the Lights On with Energy Relief Plan also includes the elimination of a host of costly and unreasonable mandates that eliminate your choice of preferred energy sources and impose unsustainable costs on families, seniors, school districts, municipalities, and any person or entity under the strain of our affordability crisis. The financial burden of Albany-imposed climate-related mandates is undeniable. Since the CLCPA was approved in 2019, residential consumers have seen their bills increase 41%. The New York Independent System Operator and electric utilities are consistently expressing concerns about grid reliability in the near future. Recent winter storms, combined with decreased generation capacity, have driven energy supply prices to historic heights. This energy crisis needs our attention now. This bipartisan challenge would be best addressed by seriously considering and implementing many of these lower plan proposals. I hope the governor and my colleagues in the majority will join me in this effort. And here's the editorial from the editorial page from the Cheektowaga Bee. How did daylight savings time start? In a little over a week, daylight savings time begins, and we will spring forward an hour. Although it's painful to lose an hour, the bright side of it is that it gets dark later. Many people call it daylight savings time, but it's actually daylight saving time. Less than 40% of the countries in the world change their clocks twice a year. Most European countries, except for Russia, Iceland, Belarus, and Turkey, observe European summertime. United States, Canada, Mexico, Australia, and New Zealand also observe daylight saving. All states in the U.S. but Hawaii and Arizona, except the Navajo Nation, observe DST. The territories of American Samoa, Guam, the Northern Mariana Islands, Puerto Rico, and the U.S. Virgin Islands also do not observe DST. Most Asian countries, including major countries such as India, China, and Japan, do not observe it. A few Middle Eastern countries do observe daylight saving time, including Iran, Jordan, Lebanon, Israel, and Palestine. With the exception of the Canary Islands that are part of Spain, most African countries do not observe it either. In South America, only a few countries, such as Chile, Easter Island, and Paraguay, use daylight saving time. The Falkland Islands are observing it all year around. Benjamin Franklin has been credited as being the inventor of daylight saving time by many people for his 1784 essay about saving candles. He wrote, "Early to bed and early to rise makes a man healthy, wealthy, and wise." George Hudson in New Zealand proposed it in 1895. Hudson, an entomologist, proposed a 2-hour jump back and forward, allowing him longer outdoor time for his research on insects. William Willett proposed it to the British Parliament in 1907 to allow him more time to play golf. The Canadian city of Port Arthur, Ontario, tried it in 1908, according to timeanddate.com. It apparently spread to other Canadian provinces in around 1910 and in Europe in 1916. Although there are many recorded citations of DST proposals, Germany and Austria have been credited as the first to adopt DST on May 1, 1916, 2 years into World War I, to conserve fuel. The U.S. adopted DST on March 19, 1918. It was not very popular and was discontinued after World War I, despite the myth that DST was instituted for the farmers. Franklin Roosevelt brought it back year-round on February 9, 1942, which he called wartime. This lasted until the end of World War II. Up until 1966, local municipalities, cities, and states could choose to observe DST and also when it commenced and ended. This haphazard implementation of the standard and DST made it difficult for the transportation industry with its inherent interstate travel. To set up a national standard for DST, a bill was passed and won the approval for the legislation on March 16, 1966. President Lyndon Johnson signed it in a law, the Uniform Time Act of 1966, on April 13, 1966. And now we'll take a look at the combined newspaper of the Lancaster and Depew Bee. Poloncarz urges state leaders to fully fund child care assistance program. Erie County Executive Mark Poloncarz is urging New York State leaders to fully fund the state's Child Care Assistance Program, CCAP, warning that Erie County is facing a multi-million-dollar shortfall even as more working families become eligible for help paying for care. Poloncarz said Erie County is projecting a $23.1 million deficit in the state's CCAP funding for federal fiscal year 2025-26, largely because the state expanded eligibility for assistance without a corresponding increase in county allocations. New York now allows families earning up to 85% of the state median income, roughly 350% of the federal poverty level, to qualify for some level of subsidy, dramatically increasing the number of children eligible for help. Governor Kathy Hochul's Aid to Localities Appropriations Bill includes an additional $155 million in supplemental CCAP funding statewide once current allocations are exhausted. Under the current proposal, Erie County would receive about $14.5 million in additional funds, covering only a portion of the projected deficit and leaving an estimated $8.5 million gap for 2026. According to a memorandum from the Erie County's Department of Social Services, the county's CCAP allocation is not sufficient to cover the rising costs tied to higher eligibility, lower parent copays, and expanded payments to providers. As a result, Erie County has instituted a wait list for the first time in more than a decade to slow unfunded expenses and preserve its allocation. The New York State Office of Children and Family Services monthly status survey shows Erie County is far from alone in facing financial strain in the child care subsidy system. As of January 2026, dozens of the 58 upstate counties were either closing new subsidy cases, placing eligible children on wait lists, or considering case denials in order to stay within their state funding. Poloncarz noted that while counties are being asked to serve more families, state allocations have not kept pace with rapidly rising program costs and expanded eligibility levels. In Erie County, aggregate CCAP costs have risen by more than 25% over recent federal fiscal years, while the county's state allocation increased only modestly and is projected to be flat in FFY 2025-26. A memo prepared by Erie County Social Services officials notes that the supplemental funding formula from Hochul's office would provide the county with roughly 22% of its CCAP allocation and estimates that for support would need to reach about 35% to fully meet local need. Poloncarz said it is not fiscally responsible for Erie County to absorb the remaining shortfall while continuing to expand services and maintain a wait list. Poloncarz sent a detailed letter to Assembly Speaker Carl Hastie and Senate Majority Leader Andrea Stewart Cousins, outlining the county's fiscal challenges and asking them to close the funding gap in the final state budget. In the letter, he emphasized that Erie County supports New York's goals of expanding access to child care for working families, and that he personally backed raising eligibility to 350% of the federal poverty level. However, he warned that without full funding, counties are forced to make difficult choices such as instituting wait lists, denying new cases, or foregoing participation in new pilot initiatives. Poloncarz told state leaders that he would reconsider Erie County's decision to opt out of a separate universal child care pilot program if the state first eliminates the existing CCAP funding deficit. Poloncarz said he has discussed the issue directly with Governor Hochul and State Budget Director Blake Washington and urged them to fully fund CCAP so counties like Erie can sustain and expand services without running structural deficits. He stressed that he and his colleagues in the New York State Association of Counties remain committed to the goal of increased access to affordable, reliable child care, but believe the state must do its part by matching eligibility expansions with adequate funding support. Recently, there has been much discussion about the availability of child care in Erie County, Poloncarz said in a public statement reiterating his position. I fully support New York State's goal of increasing access to this much-needed service and would support expansion of this state program as long as state government does its part and fully funds its programs. Our next article carries the headline, Todaro calls on colleagues to end hunting restrictions for 12 to 13-year-olds. Legislator Frank Todaro is renewing the call to allow 12 and 13-year-olds to hunt in Erie County with adult supervision beneath a pilot program administered by the Department of Environmental Conservation, that's the DEC. On February 24th, Todaro filed a letter with the legislature's chair, Tim Myers, stating that the program's years of success should alleviate any prior safety concerns. In 2021, New York State created a pilot program for the licensure of 12 and 13-year-old hunters, permitting license holders to hunt deer with a crossbow, rifle, shotgun, or muzzleloader under experienced adult supervision. In total, 54 counties in New York State were eligible to participate in the program. Erie County, in addition to Rockland County, chose not to participate. The legislature initially decided in a 6-5 vote to allow 12 to 13-year-olds to participate in the licensure program, but the law was vetoed by Erie County Executive Mark Poloncarz. Since that point, a resolution creating a law to participate in the program has failed to pick up enough steam to overturn that decision. Executive Poloncarz cited the many unfortunate firearm hunting accidents in the state and county, especially those involving youth hunters, as the reason for the law's veto. However, 5 years of data disprove those concerns, Todaro said. Furthermore, the program has been deemed so successful that the DEC is recommending the law be made permanent. During a 2025 town hall event in Lancaster, Poloncarz discussed his decision to veto the law. In my own view, I always said, if I had the opportunity to stop a child from dying, even if it's an accidental death, I would take that opportunity to do that, and that's what I did. In the first 5 years of the pilot program, the DEC recorded 0 hunting-related shooting accidents, violations, or hunting license revocations. The program itself has experienced high engagement with youth in counties that allow it, recording approximately 12,000 to 13,000 hunters statewide participating annually. In order for the youth hunting pilot program to be instituted in Erie County, the legislature would need to reach a 2/3 majority vote or risk facing another veto from the executive's office. You are listening to Around Our Area on the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service. The time is 40 minutes past the hour. Moving to our next article now in the Lancaster Depew Bee. Lancaster Village Merchants Association releases list of local events for 2026. The Lancaster Village Merchants Association, the LVMA, has released its 2026 events calendar, outlining a full year of festivals, themed shopping nights, and family activities planned in the Village Business District. Various events will be hosted directly by the LVMA, while others are organized in partnership with the Village, Chamber of Commerce, and additional community groups. For March, a St. Patrick's Day Parade is scheduled for Saturday, March 14th. In April, the group focuses on beautification with a spring cleanup running Thursday through Saturday, April 23rd through the 25th. May brings several happenings, including Cinco de Mayo at Papi Grande's from Friday through Tuesday, May 1st through the 5th, a spring sip and shop on Friday, May 8th, a beautification spring planting event, May 14th through the 16th, and the first date in the Lancaster Live Concert Series on Saturday, May 23rd. June. Summer in the Village is packed, beginning with another Sip and Shop on Friday, June 19th. The Village will host the Lancaster Legendary Rides Car Show on Sunday, June 21st, with a second Lancaster Live Concert Series date set for Saturday, June 27th. July highlights include the Lancaster Independence Day celebration from Thursday through Saturday, July 2nd through the 4th, the Lancaster Garden Walk, July 17th through the 19th, and the Taste of Lancaster and basketball tournament on Saturday, July 18th, and another concert series date on Saturday, July 25th. August opens with a Renaissance Fair on Saturday, August 1st, and the Gala in the Garden on Friday, August 7th. Movies Under the Stars are scheduled for Fridays, August 7th, 14th, 21st, and 28th, offering outdoor family film nights throughout the month. On Saturday, August 15th, the Village will host the Lancaster Porch Fest and After Party, followed by another Lancaster Live Concert Series date on Saturday, August 22nd. In September, fall activities include a wine walk on Saturday, September 12th, sponsored by the Chamber of Commerce, the Fall Fest on Saturday, September 19th, and a football viewing party with a date still to be announced. October features Lancaster Thrills on Saturday, October 3rd, a beautification fall cleanup October 29th through the 31st, and Trick or Treat in the Village on Saturday, October 31st. For November and December, the year wraps up with a village tree lighting on Saturday, November 28th, Small Business Saturday / Fire Truck Parade on November 28th, a Bourbon Sip and Shop on Friday, December 11th, SantaCon on Saturday, December 12th, and Last Night Lancaster on Thursday, December 31st. Residents and visitors can find more information or updates on event details by scanning the QR code, which directs users to additional LVMA resources online. Our next article in the Lancaster Depew Bee is written by Patrick Gallivan, 60th District, New York State Senate. State budget negotiations must focus on affordability. Budget season is in full swing in Albany, where members of the Senate and Assembly are carefully reviewing Governor Hochul's record-setting $260 billion spending proposal for the fiscal year that starts on April 1st. As day-long hearings and face-to-face negotiations continue over the next several weeks, the legislature must prioritize fiscal responsibility, affordability, and safety on behalf of New York taxpayers and businesses. The governor's budget proposal reflects a $6 billion increase over the current budget, a trend that has become all too familiar in Albany. Since 2019, the budget has ballooned by $92 billion, a 54% increase. By comparison, New York's budget is more than double Florida's budget, $119 billion, and is nearly equal to the budgets of Florida and Texas combined, $268 billion. This level of spending is irresponsible and unsustainable. If the legislature is serious about making New York more affordable, it must reduce the size and cost of government by cutting spending. A good place to start is to adopt legislation S.1296, which I co-sponsor, that would impose a spending cap on the state budget and limit future spendings. In recent days, the governor has also proposed a $1.5 billion bailout for New York City. The city's financial difficulties suggest it too has a spending problem and needs to practice fiscal restraint. A bailout is unfair to the rest of the state, and I urge the legislature to reject it. The proposed budget, unfortunately, does little to lower personal income tax or property taxes for New Yorkers. While I support plans to eliminate the tax on tips and to expand the child tax credit, they do not go far enough to address the overall tax burden residents face, which is among the highest in the nation. My colleagues in the Senator Minority Conference have introduced several bills that would provide additional tax relief for individuals, families, and businesses. Rising energy costs are also a concern, with electricity rates about 50% higher than the national average, in part because of policies imposed by the Climate Leadership and Community Protection Act. The governor's budget proposal does not include any initiatives to reduce energy costs. However, I am proud to co-sponsor a legislative package that would repeal many of these costly mandates, including the All-Electric Buildings Act and the electric vehicle mandate. Including these proposals in the new budget would help ratepayers across the state. In terms of public safety, I am disappointed that the governor did not include desperately needed reforms in our criminal justice laws, including changes in bail, discovery, parole, and raise the age. The budget also fails to address the crisis in our prison system, where National Guard members continue to work alongside understaffed correction officers. In the weeks ahead, I will continue to work with my Senate colleagues to amend the governor's proposal and to adopt a budget that works for all New Yorkers and begins to solve some of the challenges our residents, businesses, and communities face. From the Out of the Past column on the Lancaster Depew Bee paper, 71 years ago, on February 24th, 1955, people living on William Street can continue to call their address William Street. The Lancaster Town Board voted not to change the name. The name of Lawson Road has been proposed. That old tavern at the corner of Transit Road and Genesee Street will be torn down to make room for a gas station. It was revealed when a permit was requested. Norma Marie Marinelli of Depew won a Rotary Foundation Fellowship to study at the University of Rome after being sponsored by the Rotary Club of Lancaster. And Harry Schoen of Preston Street announced his candidacy for mayor of Depew on the Citizens ticket. Edward Kwiatkowski of Bryant Street was the party's candidate for trustee. And 46 years ago, on February 21st, 1980, the ratification of a 2-year contract with technicians of electric gas stores at 6315 Transit Road, Depew, ended a work stoppage. Full service resumed with all employees back on the job. Ronald J. Jacobowski of Depew was appointed to the position of Assistant Superintendent for Financial and Business Management for the Buffalo Public Schools. The Lancaster High School DECA Club won 15 awards at the Region 12 area competitive events held at Buffalo State College. The Lancaster boys basketball team defeated Depew 73-53. The the Lancaster/Depew JCs and Twin Village VFW Post 463 were sponsoring the live entertainment, refreshments, and auctions at the Children's Hospital Benefit Telethon 80. The items for auction included a pair of Buffalo Sabres red tickets and a pair of Buffalo Stallions gold tickets. And 46 years ago, on February 21st, 1980, Scott Aviation of Lancaster was set to supply 10 new self-contained breathing equipment units, or air packs, to the Lake Placid Fire Department to ensure adequate respiratory protection in smoke-filled or toxic environments during the 1980 Winter Olympics. And we'll move now to the Kenton Bee, and our first article, Canal Fest relocates to Gratwick Park in NT for 2026. After more than 4 decades along the canal between the Twin Cities, Canal Fest will relocate to Gratwick Park in North Tonawanda for its 2026 season. The 8-day festival is scheduled to run July 19th through the 26th and will feature the same attractions, food vendors, live music, and community events, according to Rick Meyer, Vice President of the Canal Fest Committee. The decision follows discussions with the City of Tonawanda Council regarding event logistics and municipal costs. Tonawanda officials have maintained that they support Canal Fest and want it to remain in the city, but emphasize the need to manage police overtime and public works expenses to limit the impact on taxpayers. Meyer said the committee ultimately determined that the city's proposed measures to help manage costs, including shortening the festival to 6 days and requiring upfront payment for municipal services, would not leave enough funds to adequately support the 14 nonprofit organizations that rely on festival proceeds. Financial strain has also weighed heavily on the committee following the arrest last year of former Canal Fest treasurer Carrie M. Hine, 45, of Sanborn. North Tonawanda Police Chief Keith Glass stated that she was arrested on September 4, 2025, for grand larceny in the 3rd degree for embezzling at least $11,000 from the organization's accounts over a lengthy period of time, though the total amount taken remains unclear. The case is currently being handled in court in Lockport. Relocating the festival entirely to North Tonawanda will also reduce expenses by requiring payment to only one municipality instead of 2. There are 14 nonprofit organizations, and the proceeds are the bread and butter for many of these organizations, Meyer said. We bring in about $100,000 to $150,000 during the 8 days of the festival. Meyer added that reducing the event to 6 days for the first time in Tonawanda last year resulted in a 45% drop in profits. While city officials suggested a shorter event as a way to control municipal costs, the committee concluded that fewer days would significantly reduce revenue for participating nonprofits. At that February 3rd meeting, Tonawanda Mayor Bill Strasburg said the $25,000 payment did not fully offset police overtime expenses. Additional costs included Department of Public Works crews installing street barriers and assisting with cleanup and preparation. Strasburg said at the time that he did not have finalized figures but would compile the actual costs and review them with Meyer. Council members said at the February 17th meeting that they were surprised to learn of the relocation, noting they expected Canal Fest representatives to return with a revised proposal. They reiterated that their goal was to make balanced municipal expenses while continuing to host the event. But the committee members never came back, and they learned about their next steps by seeing it on social media. In an interview with the Bee, Councilmember Chris Fisher said, "We want the Canal Fest on our side. We never wanted to kill the Canal Fest. We wanted to bring people from all over our city." Mayor Strasburg also addressed the timeline of events. "I would like to set the record perfectly straight," Strasburg said. The City of Tonawanda spoke with Canal Fest representatives at a council meeting on February 3rd. Questions were asked on both sides and information was exchanged. I thought Canal Fest representatives would return with a proposal of exactly how long they wanted the event. what would be set up on the City of Tonawanda side, and how much reimbursement they would be able to provide. Since that time, no one from Canal Fest has reached out to me. On Thursday, February 12th, I received word that at the Canal Fest meeting on February 11th, the Board of Directors voted to move Canal Fest to Gratwick Park. At no time did the City of Tonawanda vote not to have Canal Fest, nor did we make a proposal that was rejected by Canal Fest. This decision was made by Canal Fest and Canal Fest alone. Meyer said the committee felt it had limited options. Canceling the festival this year, he said, could have ended the event permanently. Quite honestly, if we didn't do Canal Fest this year, we would never do it again. It would probably be dead. So we have no choice but to do it this year, Meyer said. He said the board ultimately voted on whether to cancel the 2026 festival or move forward in North Tonawanda. Returning to Tonawanda was not included as a ballot option. Gratwick Park, he added, offers ample parking and space to accommodate large crowds. North Tonawanda Mayor Austin Tylock said the city approved the new arrangement after discussions with festival organizers. Canal Fest has seen changes over the last few years, and the Tonawanda side has seen the most changes, Tylock said, noting that rides were moved to the North Tonawanda side last year. They came to us last month and said they wanted to host the event. They brought it to us, and we are accommodating them because we understand that every single piece benefits the nonprofit organizations and also draws people in. We don't want to throw another wrench into their changes. We also approved the dates. According to Tylock, the Canal Fest Committee will pay North Tonawanda $39,000. He said the city's role is to ensure public safety and minimize disruption to municipal services. The Canal Fest Committee is committed to ensuring success, and we are here to help, he said. Despite the relocation, Tonawanda officials emphasized that their support for Canal Fest has not wavered and that the door remains open for future years. If Canal Fest doesn't work out in 2026 at Gratwick Park, they're more than welcome in 2027 to come back to our city, officials said. Our doors are always open to them. You've been listening to Around Our Area, a weekly look at community newspapers from around Western New York. Stay tuned for our second hour. Your reader for this hour has been Will Evans. Thank you for listening.
Coming up next in the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service, we have a reading of our Southtowns papers, including Orchard Park, Hamburg, East Aurora, and West Seneca's B papers or Sons. At 3 o'clock, we have the Ample Eagle, and at 4 o'clock, we have the Grand Island Niagara County Tribune Sentinel. Stay tuned for these readings and more throughout the day, and contact us if you have comments, suggestions, or questions. You're listening to the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service. Volunteer radio readers broadcast daily readings, 24 hours a day, of newspapers, magazines, books, and other printed matter to area people who are blind or have a print disability, who are provided reading radios. The Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service has broadcast almost 40 years of radio readings to those without sight. Our broadcast signal is provided at no charge by WNED. Radio Reading Studios are at 1199 Harlem Road in Cheektowaga. For more information on the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service, call 716-821-5555. The following program is intended for listeners who are blind, have low vision, or have another print